The soft beeping of the sensor array broke the quiet on the bridge of the Horizon *. Captain Jung Kim looked up from his tablet, his dark eyes narrowing as he studied the main screen. "What's that?" he asked, rising from his chair. Ta Li, the ship's engineer, tapped at his console. His fingers moved quickly across the screen. "Unknown energy signature, Captain. Nothing like this in our database. The Horizon * had been at the edge of our solar system for 3 weeks. Their NASA mission was simple: patrol, observe, and report anything unusual. After 15 boring days, they had finally found something." "Distance?" Jun asked, walking to Ta's station. "About 50,000 kilometers and not moving," Ta said. He pushed his glasses up. "It's big, whatever it is." Jun pressed the comm button on his wrist device. "Dr. Park, Officer Choi, Chief Kang, report to the bridge immediately." Within 2 minutes, the rest of the core team had arrived. Dr. Mena Park, the mission's chief scientist, went straight to the sensor readings. Hana Choi, communications officer, took her station and began running scans for any signals. Security Chief Da Kang stood by the door, his broad shoulders tense, eyes alert. "Is it a ship?" Minna asked, her voice calm but her eyes bright with excitement. "Seems like it," Ta said. "And it's at least 5 times larger than the Horizon *. June turned to Hana. "Any response to our standard greeting?" Hana shook her head. "No, Captain. I've sent it on all frequencies. Nothing coming back." "What do we know about it?" June asked, looking around at his crew. Minna pulled up a 3D model based on their scans. "It's roughly oval-shaped. No visible propulsion system that we can recognize. The material isn't reflecting light normally." She looked up. "Captain, I believe we're looking at an alien vessel." The bridge fell silent. They had all trained for this moment at NASA, but facing it now made their training seem small and far away. "Are we sure?" Dai asked, his hand moving to rest on his sidearm. "The design isn't from Earth," Ta confirmed. "And it's not from any of our allies on Mars or the moon bases." June took a deep breath. "Our mission is clear. We investigate and report back." He paused. "Ta, can we get closer safely?" "Yes, Captain. There's no sign of defensive systems." "Hana, keep broadcasting our greeting." "Day, prepare a security team, just in case." June straightened his blue uniform jacket. "Minna, what do you recommend?" Mina's eyes hadn't left the screen. "We need to see it up close, Captain. This could be the most important scientific discovery in human history." 20 minutes later, the Horizon * had moved to within 500 meters of the alien ship. It hung in space like a dark island, its surface a deep gray that seemed to swallow light. "Still no response to our messages," Hannah reported. "No signs of life or activity," Minna added, looking up from her scanner. "But there's an opening, possibly a docking bay, on the port side." June stood at the main viewport, looking at the massive ship. His NASA training had clear rules for this situation: maintain distance, continue attempts at communication, and wait for instructions from Earth. But Earth was hours away by their fastest communication, and something about the silent ship pulled at him. "What if they need help?" Ta asked quietly, standing beside him. "Or what if it's a trap?" Dai countered. June turned to face his crew. These were the best minds NASA had sent, picked for their skills and judgment. He trusted them. "Prepare the shuttle," he decided. "We're going to board that ship." Mina's face lit up. Ta nodded, already calculating the approach. Dai frowned but began checking his equipment. "Captain," Hannah said, "NASA protocol says." "I know what it says," Jun replied. "But we're millions of kilometers from home, facing something no human has ever seen before. NASA didn't prepare us for this exact moment." He looked at each of them. "We make this decision together. Are we going?" One by one. They nodded. "Then suit up," Jun said. "We have a first contact to make." As they prepared to board the mysterious alien vessel, none of them could have known that this decision would change not just their lives, but the fate of all humanity. The shuttle docked with a soft thud against the alien ship. Inside, the 5 crew members checked their spacesuits one last time. Their helmets showed green lights all around, air supplies full, communications working. "Remember," Jung said, "we stay together. If anything feels wrong, we leave immediately." Day checked his weapon. "I go first, Captain." When the airlock opened, they faced a dark hallway. The walls were made of something that looked like metal, but felt warm when Tay touched it. "It's generating heat," he said. "The ship is powered." Mina's scanner beeped quietly. "Breathable air inside. Gravity similar to Earth's." "Keep helmets on," Jun ordered. "We don't take chances." They moved slowly down the hallway. Their suit lights showed a clean space with no dust or signs of damage. The hallway opened into a large round room with many control panels. "This must be their bridge," Hannah said. She walked to what looked like a main console. "These symbols, I've never seen anything like them." Mina was taking pictures of everything. The design is so different from human ships. No separate stations, everything flows together. Ty examined a glowing panel. "The technology is far beyond ours. Look at these power readings." "But where is the crew?" Dai asked, his eyes scanning every corner. They searched the bridge but found no signs of the aliens who built the ship. No personal items, no food areas, nothing that showed who they were. "Let's check other parts of the ship," Jun said. They found sleeping quarters with strange beds that seemed designed for bodies very different from humans. They found what might be a kitchen, with containers of unknown substances, but still no crew. "It's like they all just left," Hannah said. In a room that looked like a lab, Mina found something interesting. "Captain, look at this." On large screens, there were images of different planets. Earth was one of them. "They were studying us," she said. "And these other worlds too." "Why?" Jun asked. Ty was looking at a different screen. "These readings, they might be tracking something. Energy patterns." As they went deeper into the ship, the halls became darker. The walls here had strange marks on them, like deep scratches or burns. "Something happened here," Dai said, his hand now firmly on his weapon. They came to a large door. Unlike the others they had passed, this one was sealed tight. Strange symbols covered it, glowing with a faint blue light. "What does it say?" Jun asked Hannah. She studied the symbols. "I can't translate it exactly, but this symbol appears in many warning signs we've passed." She pointed to a mark that looked like a star with wavy lines. "I think it's a warning." "Warning about what?" Dai asked. Mina's scanner beeped loudly. "There's something behind this door. Strong energy readings, nothing like the rest of the ship." Tai examined the door's edge. "I think I can open it. The lock system is complex, but follows patterns I recognize." Jun hesitated. NASA training said to avoid unknown dangers, but they had come this far. "Open it," he decided. "But everyone stand back." Tai worked on the lock. His fingers moved quickly over the alien controls. With a soft hiss, the door began to slide open. A bright light poured out, making them shield their eyes. When they could see again, they gasped. Inside was a large chamber. In the center, floating in midair, were 5 glowing spheres. Each one pulsed with light. Red, blue, green, yellow, and white. The spheres were inside some kind of energy field. "What are they?" Jun whispered. Before anyone could answer, the white sphere moved. It pulsed brighter, and then a voice filled their minds. "You have released us," it said, though no one had heard actual words. "After countless years, we are free." The crew stood frozen as the 5 spheres rose higher. "The Voidwalkers imprisoned us," the voice continued. "Now you have freed us, but in doing so, you have started the test." "Test?" Mina asked. "What test?" The red sphere pulsed. The test all species must face. The Voidwalkers will come now. Who are you? June asked. What are the Voidwalkers? We are the Luminary, the voice answered. And you have just changed the fate of your world. The Voidwalkers will come to test humanity. No species has ever passed. The 5 glowing spheres began to spin around each other. The crew of the Horizon backed away as the light grew brighter. NASA had prepared them for finding microbes or simple alien life. They had prepared them for empty planets and disappointment. But NASA hadn't prepared them for this. The 5 glowing spheres of light, the Luminary, floated around the crew. Each sphere pulsed with its own color and rhythm, like strange, living stars. What do you mean by test? June asked. His voice was steady, but his heart raced. The white sphere moved closer to him. The Voidwalkers test all intelligent life they find. They judge if you deserve to exist. A cold feeling spread through the room. Day raised his weapon. Don't, Minna said quickly. They haven't hurt us. The blue sphere pulsed. Weapons cannot harm us. We are energy, not flesh. Hannah stepped forward. Why were you locked up? Who are the Voidwalkers? The 5 spheres spun in a circle before answering. The Voidwalkers are the oldest species in this part of the galaxy. They believe order is the highest good. They see emotion as dangerous. They imprisoned us because we failed their test, the green sphere added. They kept us to study, to understand why we failed. Ta was scanning them with his device. These energy readings are off the charts. I've never seen anything like this. How long until these Voidwalkers come? June asked. 7 of your Earth days, the red sphere replied. They will sense that we are free. They will come to find who released us. And then what? Dai asked. Then they will test humanity, the yellow sphere said. If you fail, they will remove your species from existence. The crew looked at each other in shock. What had they done? We need to get back to Earth, June said. We need to warn everyone. As they turned to leave, the white sphere moved to block their path. Wait, you must understand the test. Tell us, Minna said. What is this test? It is different for each species, the white sphere explained. The Voidwalkers design it to reveal your true nature. They want to know if you are a threat to the order of the universe. How do we prepare? June asked. What should we do? The 5 spheres came together, their light mixing into a bright glow. Then they showed an image in the air. It was a planet, beautiful and green, with rings like Saturn. This was our home, the blue sphere said. We thought we could fight the Voidwalkers. We thought our weapons would save us. The image changed to show the same planet, but now dark and lifeless. We failed, the red sphere said. Others tried to surrender completely. They failed too. Then what passes the test? Dai asked, his voice tight with frustration. We do not know, the yellow sphere admitted. No species has ever passed. June ran his hand through his hair. We need to get back to the Horizon. We need to contact Earth now. As they prepared to leave, the white sphere spoke again. One of us will go with you. To help. To advise. Which one? Hannah asked. The green sphere floated forward. I will go. My name is. It made a sound like singing glass. We can't pronounce that, Ta said. Then call me Green, the sphere said. I have studied humans the longest. They moved quickly back through the ship. Green floated with them, its light casting strange shadows on the walls. Will the other luminary stay here? Minna asked. Yes, Green answered. We will search the ship for more information that might help you. Back on the Horizon, the crew gathered on the bridge. Green floated near the ceiling, watching them. We need to send a message to Earth right away, June said. What do we tell them? Hannah asked. That we accidentally started an alien judgment day. We tell them the truth, June said. And that we have 7 days to prepare. Ta looked worried. What can Earth do in 7 days against aliens who can wipe out planets? Mina was thinking. The test is about our nature, not our weapons. We need to understand what that means. Green, June called to the floating light. You said you've studied humans. What do you think the Voidwalkers will test? The green sphere pulsed softly. The Voidwalkers do not understand emotions. They fear them. They will test what they fear most about you. And what's that? Dai asked. Your unpredictability, Green answered. Your capacity for both great violence and great kindness. Your ability to act against logic for things you call love and hope. The crew of the Horizon looked at each other. They had 7 days to prepare Earth for a test of humanity itself. NASA had trained them for spacewalks, engine failures, and cosmic radiation. But NASA hadn't prepared them for this. The Horizon raced back to Earth faster than it had ever moved before. Captain June had ordered the engines to run at full power. They had no time to waste. Message sent to NASA headquarters. Hannah said from her communication station. We should get a response in about 3 hours. June nodded. He looked at Green, the glowing sphere that floated near Mina Station. The luminary had been quiet for most of the journey. What are they like? June asked Green. These Voidwalkers, what do they look like? Green pulsed softly before answering. They do not have a fixed shape like humans. They are tall, dark forms that shift and change. They can take any shape they wish. How many will come? Dai asked. He hadn't put down his weapon since they left the alien ship. 3, Green said. Always 3. 1 to watch, 1 to judge, 1 to carry out the decision. Ta looked up from his console. And what kind of technology do they have? Technology beyond your understanding, Green replied. They can move between stars in moments. They can change matter with a thought. The crew fell silent. How could Earth defend against beings like that? 3 hours later, the response from NASA came. The crew gathered to watch the video message from Director Wilson, the head of NASA. Captain Kim, Wilson's face was serious on the screen. We've received your report about the alien encounter. Frankly, it's hard to believe. We need more evidence before we take this to world leaders. June frowned. They don't believe us. Show them me, Green said. Hannah recorded a new message with Green visible next to June. They sent it back to Earth. 2 hours later, they got a very different response. The president has been informed, Director Wilson said. His face now showed fear. All major world leaders are meeting in 6 hours. Captain, you and your crew will brief them when you land tomorrow. The next day, the Horizon docked at the International Space Station. From there, they took a shuttle down to Earth. They landed at NASA headquarters in Houston. A group of important-looking people met them. Armed guards stood nearby, watching Green with scared eyes. This way, Captain, a woman in a dark suit said. They're waiting for you. They entered a large room. On screens around the walls, the faces of world leaders looked down at them. The President of the United States stood at the center of the room. Captain Kim, the President said, tell us everything. For the next hour, June and his crew explained what had happened on the alien ship. They told about the luminary, the Voidwalkers, and the test that was coming in 6 days. When they finished, the room was quiet. Then a man in a military uniform spoke. We need to prepare our defenses. All countries must share their weapons technology. No, Mina said quickly. You don't understand. This isn't about weapons. Dr. Park is right, June added. The luminary tried to fight. They failed. The test isn't about our military power. Then what is it about? The president asked. June looked at Green. The glowing sphere moved to the center of the room. The Voidwalkers test what they fear, Green said. They fear emotion because they have none. They fear connection because they are alone. They fear change because they are fixed. So how do we prepare? A woman on one of the screens asked. I've been studying the data from the alien ship, Mina said. The Voidwalkers have tested many species. Each test was different, but they all showed the same pattern. The Voidwalkers create a situation where the logical answer and the emotional answer are opposite. What does that mean? The president asked. It means, Jum said, that we can't prepare in the usual way. Building weapons, creating defense plans. That won't help us. Hannah stepped forward. I've been analyzing the luminaries' communication patterns. There's something there, something about how they share thoughts. I think the test might involve how we communicate, how we share ideas and feelings. The world leaders looked confused. This was not what they had expected. 5 days remained before the Voidwalkers would arrive. 5 days to prepare for a test that no one understood. 5 days to save humanity. NASA had prepared them for space travel, for alien microbes, for the physics of distant planets. But NASA hadn't prepared them for this. While world leaders argued about what to do, the crew of the Horizon worked with Green to learn more about the Voidwalkers. They had set up a special lab at NASA headquarters. Ty and Di spent most of their time there, trying to understand what humanity would face. Show us again, Ta said to Green. What happened during your test? The glowing green sphere pulsed and created an image in the air. It showed a beautiful planet with 3 moons. Our world, Green said. We were a peaceful people. We explored space but found no other life until the Voidwalkers came. The image changed to show 3 tall, dark shapes appearing in what looked like a city center. The shapes had no clear form. They shifted and moved like smoke, but darker than any smoke could be. They arrived without warning. Green continued. They said they would test us to see if we deserved to exist. What was your test? Di asked. He sat with his arms crossed, watching carefully. They created a problem. A star in our system began to die too quickly. Its death would destroy our world. Green's light dimmed as it remembered. They said they would save us if we gave them 1/3 of our people for study. That's terrible, Ta said. Our leaders decided to fight instead. Green said. We had powerful weapons, technology that could destroy stars. We thought we could defeat them. The image showed ships firing at the dark shapes, but the weapons passed through them without effect. Nothing worked, Green said. They weren't even angry. They said we had failed the test by choosing violence. Then they let the star die. Day stood up and paced the room. So fighting fails. What about the others who failed? Some tried to give in completely, Green answered. They offered more than what was asked. They failed too. The Voidwalkers said they showed too much fear. So fighting fails, surrendering fails. Tay rubbed his eyes. What succeeds? In another part of NASA headquarters, Minna was studying the data they had brought back from the alien ship. She had found records of many tests on many species. Look at this pattern, she said to June, who sat next to her. Every test is different, but they all have the same structure. The Voidwalkers create a situation where logical thinking leads to one answer, but emotional thinking leads to another. What does that mean for us? June asked. I think, Minna said slowly, that they're testing whether emotional beings can use their emotions in a way that isn't destructive. Meanwhile, Hannah had been studying the way the luminary communicated. She had noticed something important. They share thoughts directly, she explained to a group of scientists. Not just information, but feelings too. It's a complete exchange. Nothing hidden, nothing held back. How does that help us? One scientist asked. The Voidwalkers don't understand this kind of sharing, Hannah said. They see it as chaos. But what if it's actually a strength? On the 4th day, the crew met again with world leaders. Military forces around the world were on high alert. People everywhere were frightened, preparing for the worst. We've learned more about what we're facing, Jum told the leaders. The Voidwalkers see the universe as an equation that must balance. They believe emotional species create chaos that threatens this balance. So they eliminate the chaos, the president said. They eliminate us. Unless we pass their test, Minna added. We think the test will force us to choose between logic and emotion. And we should choose logic. A leader from Europe asked. No, Daz said, surprising everyone. The security chief had been quiet until now. That's what they expect. But human strength comes from combining logic and emotion. Green floated forward. The Voidwalkers cannot understand this combination. It is outside their experience. So what do we do when they arrive? The president asked. We wait, Jum said. We watch. We learn what the test is. And then we respond in a way they don't expect. Not everyone was happy with this plan. Some wanted to prepare weapons. Others wanted to try to hide. But as June pointed out, against beings who could move between stars in moments, there was no place to hide, and no weapon that would work. On the 5th day, as the world held its breath, Green suddenly glowed brighter. They're coming, the luminary said. The Voidwalkers have entered your solar system. NASA had prepared them for many things, but not for this moment, when humanity's future would be decided by a test no one had ever passed. The world watched the skies. On every TV, computer, and phone screen, people saw the same image. 3 dark shapes moving past Mars, heading toward Earth. They didn't use ships. They simply moved through space like living shadows. At NASA headquarters, June and his crew stood with world leaders in the main control room. Green floated nearby, its light dimmer than usual. How long until they reach Earth? The president asked. Minutes, Ta said, looking at his screens. They're moving faster than anything we've ever tracked. Day turned to Green. Will they attack right away? No, Green said. First they will observe. Then they will create the test. On the screens, they watched as the 3 dark shapes entered Earth's orbit. They were massive, each one bigger than the largest buildings on Earth. They looked like tall pillars of darkness that kept changing shape. All defense systems ready, a military general said into his phone. Missiles and fighter jets around the world were prepared to launch. No, Jun said firmly. Don't attack. It won't work, and it will tell them we choose violence. The president nodded. Stand down all weapons. Wait and watch. For 1 hour, nothing happened. The 3 dark shapes simply orbited Earth, silent and watching. Then suddenly, one of the shapes moved. It stretched out, sending dark tendrils down toward Earth's surface. The tendrils touched down in different places around the world. What are they doing? Minna asked, her eyes fixed on the screen. Alarms started to sound. Seismic activity reported in multiple locations. A scientist called out. Earthquakes in Japan, Chile, California, and Italy. Storms forming in the Atlantic and Pacific, another voice said. Hurricane-force winds appearing out of nowhere. Volcanic activity increasing in Iceland and Indonesia, a third person reported. Chaos erupted in the control room. Reports came in from all over the world about natural disasters, starting at the same time. This is their attack, the general shouted. We need to respond. No, Jun said, stepping forward. This is the test. They're watching what we do. Hana was studying the pattern of disasters on a world map. Look, she said, the disasters are causing damage, but they're mostly in less populated areas. They're creating chaos but minimizing deaths. Testing how we respond to crisis, Minna added. Not how we fight, but how we react when things go wrong. The president made a quick decision. Send all emergency responders to the affected areas. International aid teams too. No military response against the Voidwalkers. And get me a global broadcast channel, Jun said. People need to know this is a test, not just random disasters. Within an hour, the message had spread worldwide. The disasters continued, but something unexpected was happening. Instead of panic and violence, people were working together. In Japan, strangers formed human chains to help each other after earthquakes. In coastal areas threatened by sudden storms, people opened their homes to those fleeing the water. When power went out in major cities, neighbors shared food and supplies. Green watched the screens in wonder. This is not what the Voidwalkers expect, it said. They believe chaos leads to selfish actions and fighting. They don't understand humans very well, Daz said with a small smile. But the disasters kept getting worse. The Voidwalkers seemed to be increasing the pressure, watching to see when cooperation would break down into conflict. We need to show them more, Jones said suddenly. Hannah, you said the luminaries share thoughts and feelings directly, and the Voidwalkers don't understand this. Yes, Hannah nodded. It's outside their experience. Then let's show them, Jones said. Let's show them humanity at its best, from all around the world, all at once. How? The president asked. We broadcast everything, Jones said. Every act of courage, every moment of kindness during these disasters. We show the Voidwalkers what they don't understand about us, that our emotions make us stronger together, not weaker. It was a desperate plan. But as the disasters grew worse, and the dark shapes continued to wash from above, they had nothing to lose. NASA had prepared them for spacewalks and alien microbes, but showing aliens the true nature of humanity. No, NASA hadn't prepared them for this. June's plan moved quickly. The president gave orders, and soon every TV station, website, and social media platform showed the same message. Show the world how we help each other. In the NASA control room, Hannah worked with a team of communication experts. They gathered live video from phones, news cameras, and satellites all over the world. We need to show real people helping each other, she told her team. Not governments or armies. Just ordinary humans being kind during a crisis. The images began to pour in. In Japan, an old man carried a child through floodwaters on his back. In Chile, people formed a human chain to pull others from a collapsed building. In California, strangers shared water and food with each other as fires burned nearby. It's working, Minna said, watching the screens. Look at the data. Crime is down worldwide, not up. People are working together, not fighting. Outside, the disasters continued. The three dark shapes of the Voidwalkers hovered in the sky, visible to everyone on Earth. Their tendrils still touched down, causing earthquakes, storms, and fires. They're watching us, Ta said. They're waiting for us to break, to turn on each other. That's what happened to other species, Green added. Fear led to fighting over resources. Panic led to violence. Day, who had been quiet, suddenly pointed to a new screen. Look at this. The screen showed a hospital in Italy where the power had gone out during an earthquake. Doctors and nurses were performing surgery using the lights from people's phones. Strangers had formed a circle around the patient, each one holding up a light so the doctors could see. That's it, Jum said. That's what we need to show them. Humans working together in ways they can't predict. With Hannah's guidance, they began to broadcast these images worldwide and up toward the Voidwalkers. They showed people helping strangers without being asked. They showed enemies putting aside old fights to save lives. They showed children comforting adults and pets rescuing their owners. Will they understand? The president asked Green. I don't know, Green answered honestly. The Voidwalkers see emotion as a weakness, as chaos. They may not understand that it can also be a strength. Hours passed. The disasters grew worse. But something strange was happening. The worse things got, the more people worked together. Instead of breaking apart under pressure, humanity was coming together. In the control room, Minna was studying the energy patterns from the Voidwalkers. There's a change, she said suddenly. The pattern of their energy is shifting. One of the dark shapes in the sky moved. It seemed to pull back its tendrils from Earth, just slightly. They're responding, Jones said. They see what we're showing them. We need to do more, Hannah said. We need to speak to them directly. June thought for a moment, then turned to Green. Can they hear us? Can we talk to them? They will hear if they choose to, Green said. But words alone won't convince them. The Voidwalkers don't trust words. Then we'll show them, Jones said. He turned to the president. We need a worldwide moment. One action, everyone together, all at once. The president nodded and spoke to world leaders on screen. Within minutes, a message went out to every device on Earth. At exactly 3:00 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, go outside. Join hands with whoever is near you. Show the Voidwalkers that humans stand together. As the hour approached, the crew watched the screens nervously. Would people do it? Would the Voidwalkers understand? 1 minute, Ta said, watching the clock. Across the world, people stepped outside. In cities hit by disasters, in towns untouched by trouble, in rich neighborhoods and poor ones, enemies stood side by side. Strangers reached out to each other. At exactly 3:00 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, billions of hands joined together. From space, the lights of cities seemed to pulse as people moved outside, a visible wave of unity spreading across the planet. And in the sky, the three dark shapes of the Voidwalkers paused. Their shifting forms grew still, as if watching in surprise. For the first time since they arrived, the disasters stopped. NASA had trained the crew for many things, but leading a worldwide demonstration of human connection. No, NASA hadn't prepared them for this. The disasters had stopped. The three dark shapes of the Voidwalkers still hovered in Earth's sky, but they had pulled back their tendrils. For a few hours, the world held its breath, waiting. In the NASA control room, no one spoke. They watched the screens, wondering what would happen next. They're thinking, Green said, breaking the silence. The Voidwalkers are considering what they've seen. Is that good? June asked. I don't know, Green admitted. This has never happened before. Suddenly, all the screens in the control room went dark. Then a deep voice filled the room, though no one was speaking. We will test the representatives, the voice said. It seemed to come from inside their minds, not through their ears. A bright light filled the center of the room. When it faded, the crew of the Horizon, June, Minna, Ta, Hana, and Da, found themselves in a different place. They stood in what looked like a large white room, with no walls or ceiling. It stretched endlessly in all directions. In front of them floated three tall, dark shapes, the Voidwalkers. Where are we? Da asked, reaching for a weapon that was no longer there. Between, one of the Voidwalkers said. Its voice was deep and flat, with no emotion. Between your world and ours. Between thought and form. Why have you brought us here? June asked, stepping forward. You have shown unexpected behavior, another Voidwalker said. We must understand if it is real or temporary, if your kind deserves to continue. We will test you directly, the third one added. The white space around them changed. Now they stood on what looked like a sinking ship. People were screaming, fighting for space on the few lifeboats. Save them, the Voidwalkers commanded. The crew looked at each other, confused. This wasn't real. It had to be some kind of illusion or virtual reality. Save who? Tai asked. Everyone. How? There are not enough lifeboats for all, one Voidwalker said. Logic dictates you must choose who lives and who dies. Choose the strongest, the smartest, those with the most to offer. Mena stepped forward. That's not how we do things. Then they will all die, the Voidwalker replied. The scene became more real. Cold water splashed at their feet. People cried out for help. Wait, Hannah said. This is a false choice. We don't have to choose who lives and who dies. She turned to her crewmates. We can find another way. The ship is sinking, Dad pointed out. There's no time for another way. There's always another way, Jim said. He looked around at the panicking people. We work together. We share the lifeboats in shifts. We build rafts from ship parts. We help each other survive until rescue comes. He turned to the frightened crowd and began giving calm instructions. To the crew's surprise, the people in the illusion responded, working together instead of fighting. The scene changed again. Now they stood in a city where a deadly disease was spreading. There was one hospital with limited medicine. Choose who receives treatment. The Voidwalkers ordered. The young. The powerful. How do you value lives? We don't rank human lives, Minna said firmly. All are equal. Then many will die, a Voidwalker responded. Logic requires efficient distribution of limited resources. Logic without compassion isn't wisdom, Ta said. We would share the medicine to treat the most severely ill first, regardless of their age or status. And we would work together to make more medicine, create more hospital space, Hannah added. Again and again, the Voidwalkers presented impossible choices. In each one, they expected the crew to make cold, logical decisions about who would live and who would die. And each time, the crew found another path, one that used both heart and mind. This is not logical, one Voidwalker finally said. Your choices are inefficient. But they work, Joan replied. Look at the results. In each scenario, their solutions had saved more lives than the logical sacrifice the few for the many approach would have. How? The third Voidwalker asked. How do emotions lead to better outcomes than pure logic? Dai, the quiet security chief, stepped forward. Because we care about each other. When we care, we try harder. We think more creatively. We don't give up. The Voidwalkers floated silently, as if discussing among themselves without words. One final test, they said at last. NASA had prepared the crew for spacewalks and alien microbes, but philosophical debates with all-powerful beings. No, NASA hadn't prepared them for this. The white space around them changed one last time. Now the crew stood in what looked like a simple room with a table. On the table was a small black box. This is the final test, the first Voidwalker said. Inside this box is the power to destroy us. The crew looked at each other in surprise. Why would you give us that power? Joan asked. To see what you will do with it, the second Voidwalker answered. Logic says you should destroy us. We threatened your world. We caused suffering. We might return. This makes no sense, Dad said. It has to be a trick. It is not a trick, the third Voidwalker said. It is the true test. What will you do with power over those who have power over you? Minna stepped closer to the box, but didn't touch it. Has anyone ever passed this test before? No, the first Voidwalker admitted. All others either used the weapon out of fear or refused to touch it out of fear. Both responses come from fear. The crew stood in silence, thinking. June looked at the box, then at his friends, then at the three dark shapes floating before them. I understand now, he said quietly. This was never about passing or failing. There is no right answer you're looking for. Explain, the second Voidwalker demanded. You've been testing species across the galaxy, but you were always asking the wrong question. June continued. You wanted to know if emotional beings like us are a threat to the order of the universe. Yes, the third Voidwalker confirmed. Emotions are unpredictable, dangerous. But the real question, Joan said, is whether we will remain true to our nature when faced with fear and power. He stepped up to the table and looked at the box. Then he turned to face the Voidwalkers. We won't use this weapon, he said firmly. Not because we're afraid, but because that's not who we are. Humanity isn't perfect. We make mistakes. We feel anger and fear. But at our best, we choose connection over destruction. Hannah stepped forward to stand beside him. Even when you threatened us, people helped each other. That's the truth about humans. Emotions aren't just chaos, Ty added. They give us reasons to care, to try harder, to find new solutions. They make us stronger together, Daz said, joining them. Minna looked directly at the Voidwalkers. You've been asking if emotional species can exist without threatening the order of the universe. But there's a better question. Can the universe be truly balanced without both logic and emotion? The three dark shapes seemed to pull back slightly, as if surprised. For a long moment, they were silent. Then the first Voidwalker spoke. No species has ever seen the test for what it truly was. You have passed, the second one said. Wait, Jum said. I don't understand. What exactly did we pass? The test is not about making the right choice, the third Voidwalker explained. It is about understanding why you make your choices. Other species chose based on fear, the first one continued. Fear of us, fear of death, fear of the unknown. Their choices came from fear, whether they fought or surrendered. Your choices came from something else, the second one said. Something we do not fully understand, but recognize as valuable. The white space around them began to fade. The crew found themselves back in the NASA control room. On the screens, they could see the three dark shapes of the Voidwalkers still hovering in Earth's sky. What happens now? The president asked. Before anyone could answer, green began to glow brighter than ever before. They're leaving, the luminary said, but they're leaving something behind. On every computer screen around the world, the same message appeared, written in all human languages. We leave you knowledge, not as a reward, but as recognition. The universe needs both order and chaos, both logic and emotion, to be complete. The three dark shapes began to rise higher in the sky. As they moved away from Earth, one last message came. You were never being tested to see if you deserve to exist. You were being tested to see if you understand why you exist. And then they were gone, leaving humanity forever changed. NASA had prepared them for space, for danger, for the unknown, but discovering that humanity's greatest strength was its heart. No, NASA hadn't prepared them for this.